Imagine walking into your bedroom and realizing that almost the entire floor is buried under piles of stuff. Not a little mess, not some laundry on a chair. I'm talking about piles covering almost 80% of the rooms. You can't walk properly. You can't open drawers without moving things first. And the person responsible for it refuses to let you touch any of it. That's exactly the situation I've been dealing with for years with my wife. And eventually, I decided to do something about it while she wasn't home. What happened next turned into a huge argument that still hasn't really been resolved. So now I'm wondering if I completely crossed the line here or if I was actually being reasonable. But before you decide, you need to hear the whole story. I'm a 40-year-old man and I've been married to my wife for 18 years. Over the last 6 years, our financial situation improved a lot, and we moved into a much bigger house with nicer furniture and more space. And you'd think that having a bigger home would make things feel more comfortable, but strangely, that's when the problem started. My wife began creating these small piles of things in our bedroom. At first, it seemed harmless, just a few stacks of items she said she would deal with later, maybe some clothes, random household things, papers, boxes, nothing too crazy. But the problem was that later never came. Instead, the piles slowly started multiplying. One pile became three, three became six, and eventually they spread across most of the bedroom floor. And when I say most of the floor, I mean it literally. At one point, I looked around and realized that roughly 80% of the floor space was covered with these piles. The only open area left was the little strip of floor on my side of the bed. Someone to imagine living like that every single day. Now, to be fair, the situation wasn't completely disgusting or anything. There wasn't rotting food, there weren't bugs, and nothing smelled bad. The clutter also didn't spread into the rest of the house. It was almost entirely contained inside our bedroom and closet. But that didn't make it comfortable. Every morning I had to carefully step around piles just to get dressed. Sometimes I had to move things around just to open my dresser drawers. Whenever I brought it up, my wife would always say the same thing. She would say the items just needed to be sorted and that she would deal with them later. But again, later never actually happened. And the more frustrating part was that she also told me very clearly that she didn't want me touching any of it. According to her, those piles were her responsibility. In her mind, it was her space and her system. Except this isn't just her room, it's our shared bedroom. After years of dealing with this, I finally managed to convince her one October to clean the room. I did everything I could to make it easy for her. For 3 full days, I took complete responsibility for the kids so she wouldn't be interrupted. I handled meals, activities, everything. The whole goal was to give her uninterrupted time to finally sort through the piles. And surprisingly, it worked. After 3 days of sorting and organizing, the room was completely clean. For the first time in years, you could actually see the entire floor. The room felt calm again. You could walk normally. You could open drawers without moving anything first. And my wife even admitted that it felt wonderful to have the space clean again. In fact, she went one step further. She actually suggested that maybe we could make it a yearly routine. Once a year, we would clean the bedroom and reset everything. When she said that, I thought the problem was finally solved. That moment gave me hope that the chaos might actually be over. But the following year proved me completely wrong. The next October rolled around and I reminded her about the idea she had suggested herself, doing a yearly bedroom cleanup, but this time her response was completely different. She said she wasn't going to clean it. According to her, the piles were her personal space, and I had no right to comment on them. That didn't make sense to me. This wasn't some storage closet that only she used, and this was our bedroom, the one room in the house that we both share every night. Living inside constant clutter made the space stressful for me. I felt like I should at least be allowed to ask for a basic level of order. Around that time, I read a quote that stuck in my head. It said something like, if your wife is angry, buy a boat. You'll still have an angry wife, but at least you'll have a boat. Obviously, it's meant as a joke, but the point is that sometimes you just have to take action and deal with the consequences afterward. Then one day an opportunity presented itself. We had an unrelated argument, and my wife decided to go out for a long hike to cool off. While she was gone, I walked into the bedroom and looked around at the piles again. And something in my brain just snapped. I decided that if the room was never going to get cleaned with permission, then I was just going to clean it myself. So I started moving everything, every pile, every box, every random item on the floor. I carried all of it into the garage and placed it on a large tarp. By the time I finished, the bedroom floor was completely empty except for the furniture. For the first time in years, the room actually looked like a normal bedroom again. Then my wife came home. She walked into the bedroom, looked around, and immediately realized what had happened. She was furious, not just annoyed, not mildly upset, furious that I had touched her things and moved everything out of the room while she wasn't there. And honestly, you can probably understand why. Over the next couple of days, I tried to handle the situation as fairly as possible. I didn't just throw things away. Instead, I sorted everything from the tarp in the garage into 8 different piles. There was an obvious trash pile that ended up filling 2 full street garbage cans. Then there were piles for donations, piles for kids' clothes that could be sold at consignment shops, and piles for items that were clearly worth keeping. Once everything was organized, I asked my wife to review the piles and give the final approval. She decided what stayed, what went, and where things belonged. After that, I handled the rest of the process myself. I donated the donation items, sold the consignment clothes, and put the keep items away properly. Eventually, the bedroom became clean and usable again, but the argument about how it happened never really disappeared. So this year, I decided to set a simple rule. I told my wife that if our bedroom wasn't cleaned at least once by October 15th each year, then I would clean it myself. I wasn't asking for a spotless room every week. I wasn't demanding constant organization. I was asking for one single day per year where the room gets reset. To me, that seemed like an incredibly reasonable compromise. But my wife didn't see it that way. She said setting a rule like that felt controlling to her, like I was trying to dictate how she used her space. This year, she did clean the room before the deadline, but she was clearly upset about it. So now I'm stuck wondering if I handled this the wrong way. Was I justified in insisting that our shared bedroom gets cleaned once a year? Or did I cross the line by setting that rule in the first place? All right, now that you know the full story, I'm curious what you think. Who's actually in the wrong here?